And we welcome those of you who just finished watching Washington versus Cal. In men's soccer, the Huskies with a 2-1 win over the Bears. Troy Clarity here with you. We've got San Diego State versus Stanford, and we're just underway. Glad that you are here with us. Zach Ryan, the turn, gets him a little space towards Richmond, who cannot quite catch up with it. Stanford trying to stay in the win column after a 3-0 win at UCLA last week. A result that Cardinal head coach Jeremy Gunn was happy about for a lot of different reasons. There he is in his 8th year on the farm. Number one, of course, getting the win and 3 points in the standings. But also number two, it was a super hot day down in Los Angeles. Tough conditions. UCLA really did a lot of things right against the Cardinal last Sunday. And that was the third game in a stretch in which they played 3 matches in 8 days. Very, very tough. So Jeremy Gunn happy with that result last week. And you know Ryan Hopkins very happy with how his team was able to get a win over the 4th-ranked Washington Huskies at the time. The first win for him as head coach at San Diego State. Taking over for longtime coach Lev Kirshner. Gabe Segal off of San Diego State, and here come the Cardinal. Ryan Hopkins coming to San Diego State after assistant coaching stints, most recently with the University of Virginia. And while he was there, he helped lead the Hoos to the NCAA championship game in 2019, where they lost to Georgetown in the title. Stanford was also at that College Cup. They couldn't find a way past the Hoyas in the semis. Bit of a breezy day here at Stanford too, but picture-perfect playing conditions. Inside the box, towards the touchline, the touch too hard from Cam Silly. Tetsuya Kodono, the sophomore from Irvine, California. And his brother, Shinya, was a fantastic player for Cal, scored 19 goals in Berkeley. Well, he was a lot of fun to watch. And Tetsuya actually played for the Irvine Strikers, a youth team down in Orange County. Ryan Hopkins was a coach for the Irvine Strikers, so he knows the Kodono brothers very, very well. Reagan Sherlock to throw it in for San Diego State. Sherlock had an assist at Stanford a couple years ago. But last season, it seems odd, it was the 2019 season, but 2 years ago. Ryan. Silly playing it ahead, aiming it for Richmond. Sherlock getting the better of that one, but Ryan swooping in. Hangs on to it. Center off of Richmond's foot inadvertently. A bit physical for San Diego State. Tevin Rue gets called for the foul. Tevin Rue, the senior from Davidson, North Carolina, had an assist at Washington back on March 6th. He actually scored in this building in the 2019 season. Swept away by San Diego State. Cardinal will throw it in. So just to set the table for you a little further here and place some more context on this match. With Washington's win over Cal today, that means if Stanford wins today, Cardinal will stay in first place. However, a tie or a loss by the Cardinal drops Stanford to second behind UW. Here comes Tristan Weber along the far side. Had it for a moment, gave it up to a teammate. Andre Ochoa in the mix for a moment. And now played back. Fritz Oostreicher, freshman from Germany. Bowen let it go by him. Off of Oostreicher's back. Silly still has it. Finds Ryan, but he can't find the ball. Pass may have been just a bit behind Ryan. If it had been in front of him, you know that he probably would have unleashed a one-timer. Sent that one screaming towards Cadona. Ryan in his career with 2 goals against San Diego State. The game winner in the 81st minute in 2019 and another one in 2018. Blake Bowen has it for a moment, but the Cardinal able to get it back. Not much room for the Cardinal to operate. And that's what San Diego State likes to do defensively. They like to press. They like to make it very, very difficult and not give you a whole lot of breathing room. And that's certainly something that plays well to their advantage, especially on their home field, the San Diego State Sports Deck, which is a bit on the smaller side. So you don't have as much time on the ball, certainly when you're playing down there. And certainly the style of defense that Ryan Hopkins likes to play, helping to make it even more difficult for Aztec opponents. And San Diego State has had so many close results this year, with a lot of close losses, a couple of ties along the way, but they've been able to play better. You know, it was intriguing talking to Ryan Hopkins and getting his thoughts on coming to the Pac-12 from most recently being an assistant in the ACC. We'll get his further thoughts on the differences between those two conferences later in the show. But he said, I'm still learning and adjusting to playing the same team twice during the course of a regular season. Forces everyone to be super sharp with their tactics, increases the high level of football played in this conference. And he also pointed out that San Diego State, against teams in which they're playing a second time in the season, 1-0-1. Hoping for similar results against the Cardinal, as that one is sent beyond everyone. Ryan Hopkins, longtime assistant, SoCal native. See more than a few fantastic programs that he has been associated with. UVA, Denver, among them. A data-driven coach. And right now he's more about process than results. And his data-driven approach to things, and we'll talk more about the numbers that he looks at a bit later on, but having that approach allows him to be able to emphasize process more than just results. How many boxes are there Aztecs checking off every single day, as opposed to did we win or lose? Of course, I'm sure that helps out too. Silly, out to Richmond. Richmond waiting, touch line, tries to poke it to Ryan. He can't handle it in time to make the turn, and it's cleared out by San Diego State. Cardinal have come down the near side more often than not to this point. Gotten to the touch line, haven't quite been able to pull off the centering pass or the shot on goal to this point. But it's one of the great dynamics, and one of the things that makes Pac-12 men's soccer so unique, the fact that everyone plays each other home and away throughout the course of the season. There's really nowhere to hide. And I've talked to Jeremy Gunn about this over the years, and he always is fond of saying the second game is almost never a continuation of the first. I'm sure San Diego State playing a bit differently than it was on February the 27th. There's Jeremy Gunn. We'll hear more from him at the half, by the way. Played back to Cadona. In the air, far side. Ryan, who's already been all over the place, poked towards Segal. And Cadona comes up to claim it. One other Pac-12 soccer match happening today, and it is underway down in Westwood. Oregon State versus UCLA, scoreless down in Los Angeles. So we, of course, will keep an eye on that as we go along, but again, as mentioned, this game very important in the standings. The Cardinal, if things don't go their way, could find themselves in second place in the Pac-12 by the close of business today. To the far side, the bump from behind, that gets the whistle. Kevin Peraza, freshman from Montebello, California, making his second career start for the Aztecs. Found his way in the starting 11 last week against the Huskies. Tripped up, San Diego State ball. Here come the Cardinal. Couldn't hang on. Keegan Tingy trying to finish, but swooping in from out of nowhere and making the play. It's Blake Bowen who came back. Now it's sent forward towards Tevin Rue, and Keegan Hughes with the smart play, just sending it out of bounds, allowing his teammates to come back and regroup and participate defensively. Dispossessed from the backside. Sherlock, and a takedown. A call against Stanford. Ryan Ludwig locked up with Tevin Rue. Rue's younger brother Donovan on the team as Ludwig gets a bit of a talking to. Ludwig the junior from York, Pennsylvania. Here's Andrew Thomas, the keeper from London, England. I asked Jeremy Gunn his thoughts on how Andrew has gone so far this year, and he said, well, you know what? He hasn't really been called on to save games for us this year. Last year, he kept us in games and was a deciding factor. Haven't seen it so much this year because the defense has played so well. The Cardinal have kept the ball for much of the year. Bending towards Thomas, and it's off the top of the net. Boy, that one had a lot of air underneath it, but the breeze perhaps carried it just a bit too far. Some numbers on Andrew Thomas, who hasn't really been called on too much this year, but as the competition gets tougher, as we get closer to the stretch run of the Pac-12 season, and certainly as we get to the tournament, that most likely will change. First corner kick of the match. Valdea. Valdea plays it back. Towards the top of the 18. And out of bounds into the stands here at Laird Q. Kagan Stadium, which for the first time this season are actually populated by guests, player guests here at Kagan Stadium. Meanwhile, back to the free kick as everyone was making a break for it, and Thomas sizing it up, and boy, I think he actually did get a hand on it to flick it over to the top of the net. And if not, that one might have found its way in the top shelf. So just over 16 minutes in here at Stanford. We are scoreless between the Cardinal and the Aztecs. Troy Clarity, glad that you are here with us. As the Cardinal play it back to Thomas. Down towards Ryan. Siegel trying for positioning, and a collision on the far side. As Jack O'Brien gets up to his feet, and the yellow card shown. May have been Tristan Weber, I believe. We'll get full clarification on that in a moment. Meanwhile, a free kick opportunity for the Cardinal. It was actually Fritz Oostreicher who gets called. That now gives him yellow cards in 3 consecutive matches. Oostreicher from Germany was nominated for the German youth national team, but was injured, and unfortunately for him, could not participate. Spinning towards the top of the 18, ricochets off a couple of white shirts and cleared out by the Aztecs. Andrew Abrahamian plays it back. Thomas puts it high in the air, spills back towards Cadona. Cardinal have won 7 straight against San Diego State, unbeaten in the last 18 matchups between these two squads, 15-0-3 during that span. Ryan outside to Silly. Silly waiting. Pokes it towards the top of the 18, skipped towards Richmond. He couldn't get a foot on it. Who's it off of? Off of Stanford. Silly with waiting just for the moment. And Richmond had the best chance at it, although there was another red-black shirt in the vicinity. Ledgwick sends it towards Ryan. Coming down towards Rue. And Rue is popped. Popped by Hughes, and Rue is down. And the shove, the bump from Keegan Hughes, the sophomore from Heath, Ohio, but Rue is up. Rue yet to score so far this season. Ryan Hopkins says he's just a little off with his finishing, but doesn't quite call it a knock on Tevin. Just says that San Diego State could be doing a better job of building from the back. Ryan, as the ball spins towards the corner. And a throw-in for Stanford. That was a yellow card on Keegan Hughes, by the way.
Hey, work it, work it. That's right there, rest. Good, buddy. Get in there. Well done.
Out of bounds, Stanford to throw it in again. Keegan Tingey will accept the honors and send it spinning close to us, but falling out of bounds. Tingey and Hughes, 2 of the rocks at center back for the Cardinal. Silly establishing himself a bit in the midfield too. Bowen to Rue. Rue, right foot, headed towards Ochoa, but he was beaten to the ball by O'Brien. Andre Ochoa, freshman from Anaheim, California. He's on a 2-match point streak. A goal against UCLA and an assist on Sunday against the Huskies. Cardinals sent head over heels towards the back post, but out of bounds and beyond everyone. A lot of youth on this San Diego State squad. We mentioned Tevin Rue is the only senior on this team, but plenty of underclassmen for Ryan Hopkins and the Aztecs as well. Full breakdown, 18 underclassmen, 10 freshmen, 8 sophomores. And that youth has shown itself at times, but the improvement has been there for San Diego State of late. And outside of a 5-0 result in Corvallis a couple weeks ago, San Diego State has played everyone very, very close. 5 of their 7 matches this year decided by 1 goal or less. towards Rue. San Diego State starting to keep it a bit more. Starting to see more action on this half of the pitch. Sherlock, good through ball to Bowen, but just a bit in front of him. Ryan positioning, trying to outfox two defenders, but instead it's Ilias Katsaros, a freshman from Seattle, winning that battle. Physical stuff on the far side. And you can expect physicality whenever it's Stanford versus San Diego State, and I think you caught pretty clearly Aztec head coach Ryan Hopkins telling a couple of his backline guys, hey, stop fouling, guys. Hopkins not happy with that last sequence in particular. Everyone getting set for the Cardinal free kick. Hard towards the front post, slides through and in for the score. And the Cardinal take a 1-0 lead. Defending set pieces has been a bit of an issue for San Diego State this year, and this one finds a way through for the first goal of the afternoon. It was sent hard towards the front, and Gabe Siegel may have been the beneficiary of it. There's the foot, he puts it through, and Gabe Siegel, we told you about him at the start of the show, the sophomore with his 6th goal of the season. And Siegel has done terrific things against the Aztecs in his career. We showed you his overtime game winner against San Diego State on February 27th. We showed you that at the start of the show. He does this here today. And now Siegel also had a goal against San Diego State in 2019 as well. So that gives the Cardinal a 1-0 lead. And helps to add on to Stanford's very impressive goal differential so far this season. There's a reason why Stanford is 7-1-1 on the year. Stanford is plus 19 in goal differential heading into today's game. It's 3rd highest in the country at the Division I level. In the corner, waiting for room. Spinning towards the sideline. Center, and the head out of bounds.
Come on, don't be nice here, boy, come on.
Mark Fisher, redshirt freshman from Michigan, in the mix. And Cadona being tested here a little bit in the last couple of minutes. Here's Will Richmond with the corner. High towards the penalty spot. The flick. Silly. Maybe taking one touch more than perhaps he should have in that instance, allowing Rue to close the window. And another corner kick now for the Cardinal. Rue's younger brother Donovan is on the San Diego State team, by the way. Another set piece. Spinning back post. Just missed. I believe that was Abrahamian. A couple of Cardinal in the mix. Now Stanford trying again, sent towards Siegel. Richmond gets a foot on it. Aztecs trying to counter. Out to Bowen. Bowen waiting, left foot. Nope. Sends it out of the park. Like the idea from San Diego State's Blake Bowen, the sophomore from San Clemente, California. He and fellow Aztec Tristan Weber both went to the same high school, San Clemente, California. Even though they're a year apart, Bowen actually watched Weber's recruitment. Weber actually started his collegiate career at the University of Portland. And Weber, after spending some time in Portland, decided to come down to San Diego State. And Bowen, what he took from that experience was that he learned to go where you're happy when you're not playing soccer. Always a key consideration to make when you're choosing where you want to go. Ryan off and running. Into the box. Out to Richmond. Richmond can't get the centering pass past Ostreicher. Will Richmond, the junior from Piedmont, California. Keegan Tingey to take it for the Cardinal as the San Diego State back line gets set. Ochoa working the front post. Substitution for San Diego State. Forthcoming. Falling to Richmond, who gets it back. Left foot, bending the head, not on frame. Cardinal keep testing and tapping and probing and getting closer. They've already put one through on a set piece. But now trying to put one through during the course of a free play. Austin Wenner coming in for San Diego State. He'll replace Tevin Rue. Wenner, a sophomore from Roseville, California, just outside of the Sacramento area. And Bryson Hankins comes in to replace Kevin Peraza for the Aztecs. Hankins, a freshman from Bakersfield, California. Winner. But Thomas wins the race and sends that one off towards Sunken Diamond, where Stanford baseball plays. They're not there this weekend. They're up in Pullman facing the Washington State Cougars. Cadono sizes up and makes the collection just at the top of the 18. The chase. San Diego State had to get that one away. Katsaros with Ryan closing quickly. Well, Zach Ryan's motor runs nonstop, and he is really starting to remind many of Foster Langsdorff, a guy who never stopped going. Won balls, created havoc, scored goals. What a fun player Langsdorff was to watch for the Cardinal. Siegel's not bad either. The center blocked. Arturo Chavez, or check that, Bryson Hankins, rather. And Stanford about to send off another corner kick. There's Charlie Wynn, who has entered the match. He scored at San Diego State in the 2018 season. Senior from Laguna Niguel. We mentioned the Irvine Strikers earlier when talking about Tetsuya Kadono. There's another member. Charlie Wynn. High towards the penalty spot. Sent out. Settled. Poked back. Fights through. And Kadono with the scramble. Keegan Hughes, I believe, was the last Cardinal to touch that one. As Silly sized it up for a moment, and instead of going full power, just decided to send a little curveball in the air. And Hughes had the best chance at it for the Cardinal. Hankins out to the far side. Weber, back to Hankins. And San Diego State turns it over. The step over, the poke, the approach, the shot skips over the top. Cardinal building the attack as defense helped lead to offense. That pass was intercepted. Win. The nifty poke outside. That was off of San Diego State. And yet another corner for Stanford as we're 30-plus minutes in. Cardinal with the 1-0 lead. Aiming towards the back post in the mixer, trying to get a foot on it, can't do it. Fisher was swarming on that one, but couldn't get a clean hit. Ludwig, Tingy, blocked. And Juan, winner. Maybe a touch too hard for him as he may have been trying to corral that a little bit, just try to flick it over the defender, but put a bit too much juice on it. Tingy goes down and gets helped up for his troubles by Bowen. Turnover. Ochoa. Ochoa scores! Andre Ochoa with the turnover and the score. The equalizer for San Diego State makes it one apiece. Well, if this was football, we'd be talking about the strip sack, the fumble, and the scoop and score. Similar thing here as Ochoa just dispossessed the Cardinal defender and put it through for the score. Well done by the youngster. And Thomas with just too much space to defend. That's Ochoa's second goal of the year. Freshman from Anaheim now on a 3-match point streak with goals against UCLA and Stanford now, and an assist against Washington last week. Ryan Hopkins likes the fact that Andre Ochoa can strike. And he showed that ability with that finish. So all level here on the farm. Off of Sherlock, with Richmond in the area and San Diego State to throw it in. Ryan down in the box, and a penalty kick forthcoming. Kyle Colonna wants to know what did I do? What happened? But the contact made just inside the 18 as Zach Ryan was trying to turn, some clutching and grabbing. And Ryan went down to ground, and it sets up a penalty kick. This will be the 5th penalty kick attempted against San Diego State this season. Ryan to take it. He's 1 for 1 this year, hit one against Pacific back on February 12th, the Cardinal season opener. Ryan versus Cadona. No! Tetsuya Cadona stands tall. As he tried to roll it towards the left post, but Cadona up to the task. Now here comes Wayner. Knocked off the ball. Well done by Ludwig. While Cadona gaining momentum with the 8 saves and a clean sheet last week against UW, and coming up big here with the big stop on the penalty kick. Whistle going in San Diego State's direction. Well, I asked Ryan Hopkins what went right against Washington last week that maybe hadn't quite gone right at other points in the season. And he said, look, the young players had a lot of little moments go right for them. And they showed understanding, they showed focus, and they showed a full 90 minutes. Stanford player on the ground on the far side. Abrahamian checking things out, making sure if he's okay. And slowly rising to his feet. But wins like that for San Diego State, like the one they had last week against Washington, as George Hunter has been shown a yellow card for San Diego State. Wins like that for the Aztecs are what Ryan Hopkins wants to see more of going forward. He says, look, the history of this program, it's been a good one. There have been decent teams, great players come through, but it's only happened here or there. He's looking to build consistency and an identity for San Diego State going forward. Thought that might be going the Aztecs' way, but linesman has other ideas. So the Cardinal to throw it in. Ryan. Nope. San Diego State gets in there instead. And the Aztecs have a chance to beat 2 top 10 teams in a season for the first time in program history. Corner kick, yet again for the Cardinal. Their 6th of the match so far. Carlo Agostinelli in the match, replacing Gabe Segal.
10 yards, ref. Away!
Penalty spot. Close to Keegan Hughes. Thomas calls for it and gets it. Ryan, the turnaround shot, and score! Zach Ryan, a work of art. And the Cardinal back on top, 2-1. Well, Ryan couldn't put it through on the penalty kick, but he finds a way through in this sequence, one time and bang. Off the spin as well, impressive stuff. As Hughes tries to go up for it, and the nifty flick from Ryan Ludwig, just with enough touch on it to set up Ryan, who just powers it home for the score, his 8th goal of the season. The Cardinal go back ahead 2-1. What a savvy goal. That was superbly set up by Ludwig. With the defender on him, Ryan realizing there was a defender on him too, but able to get in the right positioning and power it home for the score. Yet another yellow card, this one on Cam Silly. Silly came from Andre Ochoa's backside and made the contact. Well, it's been entertaining so far. It's been rock'em sock'em to this point in this match. And that's kind of been the law of the land across the conference, especially over the last couple of weeks or so, it seems. You remember the back and forth affair right here between the Cardinal and then 5th-ranked Oregon State. Beavers took a quick 2-0 lead before Stanford scored the final 3 to get the win. San Diego State beating UW last week. Just some incredibly dramatic soccer up and down the conference to this point. If Pac-12 Network's analyst Christopher Sullivan were here, he'd say, well played football. Coming down towards Ryan. Abrahamian. With Ryan Hopkins offering some coaching analysis, wants his team to win second balls. There are a few things that Ryan Hopkins pays attention to. Mentioned earlier that he's pretty data-driven. You know, analytics and information is a big thing these days, and there are so many different numbers, so many things to watch. And I asked him, you know, what sort of things kind of take precedence for you over some other numbers, because there's certainly a lot of noise out there. The first thing he said was passes per defensive action. How many passes does the opponent have before his team takes some sort of defensive action, a block, a tackle, an interception, whatever? He wants his team to have around 7 passes per defensive action. Ball recoveries an opponent has. As that one chipped out. The volley, nope. Sent well out of the park and off towards Stanford Stadium. Off the foot of Keegan Tingey. Ryan Hopkins also big on ball recoveries an opponent has. Stanford is one of the best teams in the Pac-12 in that category, but so are the Aztecs. They're, in fact, the top 2 teams in the Pac-12 in that number. Also pays particular attention to passes into opponent penalty areas. He wants about 20 per game. And he also keeps a big eye on expected goals. But obviously with so many numbers, so much information out there, you know, how do you separate the noise from what's really important to you? And Hopkins says, look, first of all, you have to ask yourself, you know, what's important to you? What do you want to be as a program? What do you want to look like? How do you want your attack to look like? Set pieces, things like that. And once you get those answers, that'll determine what's important to you from a number standpoint. Silly, left foot, strike blocked. Absorbed by Kyle Colonna. And out of bounds. Colonna took that one right to the chest. And perhaps a good thing too, because that one had some heat on it. Well, talk about taking one for the team. Hughes gets beyond Agostinelli. Can't hang on to it on the far side. Carlo Agostinelli, redshirt freshman from London, England. Has now played in every match so far this season with a couple of assists along the way. And has been very aggressive, especially in the final third. Coaches are very happy with what they've seen from him to this point. Cardinal win it back. Mark Fisher has had a couple of nice moments. Agostinelli, centered, front foot, no. Smothered by Codono. And Wien had the best chance at it off the centering pass. Well, the ball at Agostinelli's foot can be a breathtaking thing. He had a fantastic sequence against UCLA last week where he just took on several folks and carved them up. Silly. Fisher. Fisher. Blocked again. That's 2 for Kelowna. Kyle Kelowna, redshirt sophomore from Danville, California, which is over in the East Bay. Terrific work by Fisher to win it back. Once again, adding another nice moment for that youngster. But Kelowna in the right place at the right time, the one-man wall. 4 minutes to go, first half. Stanford ahead 2-1. From Vialdea. High. Thomas calls for it and claims it into traffic. 6'2". High points the ball. Goes up and gets it. Out of bounds. Coming up at the half, we'll take an inside look and do a deep dive on how Stanford men's soccer navigated its way and maybe in some ways reinvented itself through the COVID-19 pandemic. You'll hear a lot from that guy. Looking forward to bringing that to you, so stick around at the half. Bowen with the turn. Marked immediately. The back flick. Ludwig just got a foot on it. Bowen sends that one out. Bowen tried to settle it and maybe give it a go towards goal, but could not get a clean hit on it and sends it away. Bowen, San Diego State's leader coming into this match with 3 goals scored. From Thomas. Aiden Weaver in the match for Stanford, replacing Will Richmond. He has the ball now, freshman from Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. Tingy. Less than 2 minutes to go first half. The center, blocked, handled by Weaver. And perhaps the overshoot. Reese DeSoto is also in the match for the Cardinal. Here come the Aztecs. Setting up Ochoa. Does he have enough room to strike? Not quite. Blocked by Tingy. Well, the Aztecs on the counter, but Andrew Abrahamian and crew able to help snuff that one out. Final minute, first half. Agostinelli. DeSoto tripped up in the box, but the effort goes through. Charlie Wynn. The Cardinal finishing chances and scoring a big one right before the half. The choice of two Cardinal to get it done, but Charlie Wynn, the senior from Laguna Niguel, with Reese DeSoto not too far behind, got tripped up, but Wynn was able to put it through. His 3rd goal of the year. 2nd time that he has scored against the Aztecs in his Cardinal career, as he put one through at San Diego State 3 years ago. All Pac-12 honorable mention, 2 years running, Wynn. 30 seconds to go. Spinning out of bounds, into the crowd. First time I get to say that this season. Feels kind of nice. Off of Wynn.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the final seconds of the first half tick off. And Stanford has a 3-1 lead. Cardinal scored first, equalized by Andre Ochoa in the 32nd minute for San Diego State, but then back-to-back goals for the Cardinal, the latest by that young man in the middle, number 10, Charlie Wynn, just moments before the break, giving the Cardinal a 3-1 lead at the half. It's been well played so far. What will the second 45 minutes bring? Stick around for that, but first, halftime festivities in just a moment. Once again, halftime score here on the farm. Cardinal 3, Aztecs 1.
When you're building a business, it's easy to find a bank who says all the right.
You're watching Pac-12 Bay Area.
Halftime on the farm between the Cardinal and the Aztecs. It's been more than a year since COVID-19 pushed the pause button on collegiate sports, and much like the rest of the world, Coach Jeremy Gunn and the Stanford men's soccer team have had to reinvent themselves on the road back to competition.
You know, when the pandemic started and we first dealt with the shutdown, you know, we talked about the great marine philosophy of improvising, adapting, and overcoming, and we knew we were going to have to improvise and adapt. We had no idea how much.
It's obviously a very uncertain, very difficult time for many people around the country and around the world, and we were all kind of sheltering in place, doing what we needed to do back in places we needed to be, and trying to train in whatever capacity we could. It's obviously a difficult thing to kind of go from expecting one thing to another. We're very fortunate to be able to come back together and train together. It's not a privilege that many people have been able to get recently. So I feel very lucky to be able to train with a bunch of the guys that I call my best friends.
We're really thankful we're at a place like Stanford where the medical expertise and the support is just amazing. And so, you know, while everybody in their first breath always thinks about how to get around different things, how to get what they want, but sometimes just maybe the people in charge know what they're talking about, and it's for our health and safety. First and foremost, people just think about taking care of themselves. But when you're dealing with a pandemic and a situation like this, we're really asking the people not just to think about themselves with their actions, but then to think about other people and their loved ones. But then further than that, which is the really difficult one, is to actually think about people that they don't even know. Because when things are getting spread in this situation, you're affecting other people's lives that you have no idea that you're even affecting them. So we've spent a lot of time, you know, looking at the current world situation with that, and hopefully trying to understand that it's incumbent on each and every one of us to take care of ourselves, but also to have that bandwidth to think about others.
The things we love about this program, being together as a team, having the opportunity to step away from that kind of has helped me, at least, and I know for a lot of other guys. Just appreciate what we have here and how amazing it is. The training environment has been unique. We've certainly had to adapt to different situations, but at the end of the day, it's just you and a ball, and you can get better regardless of what restrictions you have.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that Stanford is one of the most demanding places in terms of soccer, as well as academically as well. And coming in here, I knew I would have to work really hard because the level is a step above everyone else.
The rules are obviously something that we have to bear in mind, the guidelines for the county and from the CDC. So all the training sessions have been adapted to fit along with those. So yesterday we had a volley competition and shooting gallery essentially, and I love those sessions for me. Obviously it's a lot of saves in not a lot of time, hopefully at least.
Yeah, no. First time. One more.
You know, it's been awesome starting up training with the guys. Obviously, we've all missed it. We've all been going stir crazy in our different ways. But just to be out on the Ulan training pitch, and obviously it's brand new. It's fantastic. You just get that buzz. And I think, when you're on the treadmill of life day to day, sometimes you start to forget how much you appreciate things. And being given a mandatory timeout, I think, allows everybody to be just that bit more excited about being together. Seeing the freshmen come in, obviously, they were going to be having their normal lap of honor as seniors in high school and all of that wonderful journey getting started in college. They're still really excited to be here because it is a new chapter in life. It's just maybe a slightly different written book than they were expecting. But the older players have been magnificent, setting the standard.
It wasn't too long ago that I was a freshman, and I still remember all the feelings I had, and that was during normal time. It's obviously hard to adjust right now for them and for everyone, especially being a freshman, a lot of them coming across the country, and just trying to help them out and just build those relationships. And I think being out here for this time in the fall, living off campus, is a good opportunity for all of us to just strengthen the bonds and get to know each other. And I think that'll translate onto the field when we're competing against other teams.
Now that they've had this preliminary time with us, which we're trying to kind of show them the way, how to get ready for a season, how to kind of prepare physically, mentally, technically, all these other different ways, tactically, so that when it comes to the first time getting ready all together for a proper season, it's not like a new experience, and it's something that they're used to.
We've been given challenges with how we're doing things. As a result, though, it's really forced us to have a bit more introspection, a little bit more thoughtfulness on how we go about training. It's certainly demanding as coaches, trying to come up with unique new drills that you've never really done before, based on how we're trying to socially distance and keep everybody safe. But what it does allow us to do, when you remove the competition, the outside competition, you really allow a player to work on mastery. You really allow a player to dig deeper, to stand still and analyze, because the world over, when you're a soccer player, when you're playing games, if you've won, you're a little bit happier. If you've lost, you're a little bit sadder. And you don't really stand still and think, and you don't really work at your craft as much as maybe you should do. And so this has been a great opportunity for us, and certainly it's been exciting training and seeing the guys out there together again.
I just hope the world just keeps getting better so we can get back to doing what we used to do, and people are more healthier, everybody's happy, we're playing soccer, competing. There'll be fans in the stadiums again, and I just really hope that next few weeks we're moving towards a positive part of our lives.
I think I speak for most people in the Stanford community when everyone's just desperate to be back on campus.
The second half from Stanford coming up in just a moment. "45 minutes in, Stanford with a 3-1 lead over San Diego State. How did we get there? Well, let's show you in our State Farm Showcase highlights and show you how Stanford was able to put the ball in the back of the net. A lot of quick strike goals in this game. It started with Gabe Siegel off a set piece, which San Diego State has had trouble with this year. The ball somehow finds a way to Siegel. That's his 6th goal of the year, coming in the 23rd minute. Zach Ryan, he's going to get in the action in the 36th minute. Watch the flick from Ryan Ludwig right here. And then Ryan with the turnaround, boom, puts it through to give Stanford a 2-1 lead in the 36th minute. And then just seconds right before halftime, Charlie Wynn finding a way through as the ball goes into the 18, bounces off of Reese DeSoto, but Wynn able to put it through and give the Cardinal a 3-1 lead in the 45th minute of play. So a lot of quick strike goals in this one. Not too many as the result of build up from the run of play. It's been boom, boom, boom. By the way, a heck of a goal by Andre Ochoa in the 32nd minute as he just stripped the Stanford defender and put it in the back of the net to, at that point, equalize the game at 1 apiece. But that's only the half of it. Off we go. Second half underway between the Cardinal and the Aztecs. Troy Clarity here on the farm, along with the rest of our Pac-12 Network crew. And for the first time all season, some guests and some fans in the stands. A reminder of the context and what's at stake, particularly for Stanford in this match. Washington beat Cal earlier this afternoon. That was a 2-1 final. So with that, if Stanford's able to hold on and get the win, Stanford, which is in first place to begin today's action, will stay in first place, and Washington will also remain in second. Vialdea, nope. Tevin Rue in the area. And the cross, nobody home. San Diego State with a bit of a chance. Tevin Rue in the mix. Inigo Vialdea also trying to set things up. So Stanford wins today, then the Cardinal remain in first place. But if Stanford ties or it loses this match to San Diego State, then Washington will be in first place in the Pac-12 at the end of the day. The only thing that would be left to be decided there would be the margin of separation between the Huskies and the Cardinal. Of course, a Stanford tie would keep them closer to the Huskies today. Stanford loss would put them a little bit further behind. But right now, the Cardinal looking to try to win today and keep its top spot in the Pac-12.
Left shoulder, Tiggy, left shoulder.
Yo, watch it long, watch it long.
Kevin Peraza was going to throw it in for a second, but instead George Hunter, sophomore from Lincoln, California, will do the honors.
Down left shoulder.
Towards Tevin Rue with the captain's armband. Left foot, centered. Nope. Towards Vialdea. Ochoa, the Aztecs' goal scorer. As SDSU switches. Now sends it towards Ochoa. And Thomas goes up and gets it. A relatively quiet season to this point for Thomas, but that's because Stanford has done great work on the ball. And the defense has shown a lot of growth throughout the course of the season as well. That was one big question mark for Jeremy Gunn coming into this season. Not so much now. Waiting. Silly. Okay, O'Brien, the center. No. O'Brien putting that one into the box, and Zach Ryan with a chance at his second goal of the afternoon. Cardinal have had some terrific setups throughout much of this match. O'Brien not wasting any time, and Ryan just couldn't quite find a clean handle on it. We go the other way for a moment. Mark Fisher snuffs it out. Bumped off the ball. Katsaros with the defensive play for San Diego State. And Hunter taken down but before he can get going. It's George Hunter's first game since San Diego State's match against Cal on March 13th. Aztecs have been a bit banged up. Then again, so has pretty much everyone else so far in the Pac-12, but Aztecs have not quite been healthy throughout much of the season. But Hunter, certainly a weapon for SDSU. Talking to both head coaches separately, they each noted that with the timing of this season, the long layoff that led up towards it, they've certainly noticed more soft tissue injuries, both for their respective teams and around the sport. O'Brien sets it up. Silly. No. Second effort, Ryan. Trying to find it. And it may have been a handball at the top of the box, just outside the 18. And San Diego State will try to send it away. Well, I thought Silly might try to give it a go right there, but instead tried to get a bit closer, and that actually hit the post. Glanced off of Codono and off the post. So Cam Silly came very, very close to scoring the first goal of his Cardinal career.
Big stay. Left shoulder, Luddy. Left shoulder. Off.
Back to Katsaros. Abrahamian misjudges. Here comes Hunter George. George centers off of Hughes' head. George trying to win it back, and he does. Well done. Ochoa. Chavez with the flick, but doesn't fall to one of his teammates. Out to the far side. Richmond. Ochoa goes to ground. And San Diego State wins the free kick. The LA Galaxy Academy product from Orange County. The lone goal scorer for San Diego State so far today. We mentioned that the Aztecs have been in the bulk of their matches. 5 of their 7 games this year decided by 1 goal or less. The only one that they were really out of, and pretty much from start, was the 5-0 result up at Oregon State on March 20th. But those 2 sets of numbers to keep in mind, and I think they kind of work hand in hand a little bit with this Aztec squad, the fact that 5 of 7 matches decided by 1 game or less, but also keep this in mind. Goals scored after the 75th minute this year in games involving the Aztecs, San Diego State scored 1. Their opponents have scored 5. So they've certainly let a few slip away throughout the course of the season. Finally able to break through 2-0 against the Huskies last week in a relatively drama-free result there, but had chances. Part of being a young team, in all likelihood. Ryan back to Fisher. Bounces off. And Silly taken down. Hughes holds Rue. The physicality continues. Towards Ryan, with the action coming back to Silly, who's still struggling to get to his feet. And now finally, the whistle blows and action is stopped. Cam Silly, the sophomore from Alamo, California, over in the East Bay. De La Salle High School. That school has produced a few athletes throughout various sports. His older sister Brooke plays at Michigan. Silly does have a yellow card this afternoon. That's 4 for him for the season, by the way. Back to action.
Good fish.
Won by the Aztecs. Outside to George. And George had it go a bit too hard. If he'd been able to corral it cleanly, I'd have had a chance to take a crack at it. Aztecs do get a chance as everyone sets up for the corner kick. Andrew Thomas directing the traffic. And Vialdea to take the kick. Back post, Hughes with the header. Ryan waits. And Keegan Tingey in a dead sprint. The bump from behind by Ryan. We should know the score early second half in Westwood. UCLA with a 1-0 lead over Oregon State.
Up, up, up. Up.
What a big win that would be for the Bruins if they're able to pull that one off. In traffic, the foul. And if that result holds, I would still think that Oregon State might be in good position for the NCAA tournament, but we'll talk a bit more about this in a few moments or so. Some changes to the NCAA tournament, perhaps making things a bit more uncertain if you don't win your conference. More on that in a few moments. Right now, let's get through the free kick. Make sure Stanford's 10 yards away. The Aldea, one of the Aztec players standing over the ball. Right foot. Thomas right on frame. Weber with a good strike. Thomas had eyes on that one the whole way. 2 saves for the Cardinal keeper. And more work to do for him, I am sure. Substitution for San Diego State with Chavez coming off. Meanwhile, the NCAA tournament will look a little bit different this year. Only 36 teams in, down from 48. And only one state hosting it, North Carolina. There'll be 8 venues hosting the tournament. And the College Cup taking place in Cary, North Carolina, May 13th through 17th. Ryan to O'Brien, and back to Ryan. Ryan getting it back to O'Brien. The step over, waiting, Abrahamian. O'Brien pokes it forward, and it goes off the top of the net. But only 36 teams in the NCAA tournament this year, so that places even more of a premium on winning your conference. As conference champions automatically make it. 17 at-large bids. Jeremy Gunn hoping to have no drama on selection day. But you would figure that between Washington and Oregon State, barring anything that is completely off the map here, you would think that Washington and Oregon State would still be in good shape for a potential at-large bid. But you don't necessarily want to place it in the selection committee's hands if you don't have to. Ryan, far side. That spins beyond the baseline. Now, the intriguing thing is what's coming up next for the Cardinal. The final 2 games of the regular season as Stanford heads up to Corvallis to face Oregon State next week, and then closes out the regular season against the Washington Huskies right here on April 17th. Tingy with the corner kick. The Aldea, I believe, got a head on that one. And the physicality continues. Richmond with the shove. Hunter George says it's all good.
I'll take it.
So it's getting to be close to that time of year again. Of course, Stanford knows what it's like to compete in the NCAA tournament. The slip from Codono. Ryan trying to win it back and gets called for a bump. Well, footing unstable for Tetsuya Codono in this instance, as that plant foot just didn't have enough traction. That happens sometimes. But Stanford certainly knows what it takes to compete in the NCAA tournament. They won the championship, took it 3 years running. A few years ago, made the College Cup again last year. Hunter George closing quickly, but Thomas sends it out of harm's way. And Stanford's been able to do it in various ways. They've had teams that just came out and just mashed people right from jump, and they've had other teams that won championships just through guile and just through guts and just by having more fortitude than the other team. So any style you want to go, Jeremy Gunn has been able to deliver championships. Tristan Weber to take it. Bending. Doesn't even touch the net. 60 minutes in, 3-1 Stanford. Troy Clarity taking you through this one. Glad you're with us here on the Pac-12 Network as we start to get set towards the home stretch in Pac-12 men's soccer. And as mentioned, Stanford has the toughest road left, facing ranked Oregon State and ranked Washington. But really, all those games are dangerous for Washington and Oregon State as well. No gimmies in the Pac-12. And after a stretch where you had 3 matches in 8 straight days, both coaches noted this. And they also said, look, it's just life in the Pac-12. This is how it works. Carlo Agostinelli coming in for the Cardinal, as is Charlie Wien. Wien with a goal earlier, right before halftime. His 3rd goal of the season. That accounts for Stanford's 3-1 lead to this point. Peraza had a little bit of a slip there. And so does George. Footing getting a bit more treacherous for the Aztecs of late. Silly serves up to Agostinelli. Beats Vialdea. As the cross goes beyond everyone. Richmond. Sent out by San Diego State. Towards Ryan. Shielded off. And Ryan, the ball involved in a bit of a bump along the way as he was trying to fight off the shield from Katsaros. Katsaros has been busy defensively. There he is in the screen with Ryan. The freshman from Seattle has not missed a minute this season for the Aztecs. The back line has had its adventures this year, but a lot of that comes with the youth for San Diego State this season.
Can you left shoulder?
Weiner couldn't hang on to it. Just spills off Agostinelli's foot. Weber. Vialdea. To Ochoa. Setting it up, Weber. Weiner trying to get free. He couldn't do it. Andrew Thomas, first team All Pac-12 in 2019 and also the year before. Cardinal had some terrific keepers. A couple of Aztecs bump into each other. Ryan waits, strikes, blocked. Agostinelli can beat guys one-on-one, but he puts it on frame. 3 blocks, 3 big blocks for the San Diego State defense. 2 by Kelowna. And that one preventing a laser from Zach Ryan. Another look. As Ryan waited, found the window. That was blocked. Agostinelli got a second chance at it. And He had a tiny window and tried the keeper. Richmond to Agostinelli. On the ground, centering, no. Wind was crashing in. And now here come the Aztecs.
Get that out, that's you. Fish, fall away.
George.
On the inside, no one outside. Good ball.
George has some space and time. Not anymore. Agostinelli tried to squeeze it to William.
Ready, right shoulder. Up. Ready, two shoulders. Left shoulder, no one outside you.
Fouled from behind. I believe that's Ludwig on the ground. Cardinal have had some bumps and bruises along the way. Of course, the big question for Stanford, health-wise, is Oseni Buddha, the reigning Pac-12 freshman of the year, who was fantastic in the 2019 season, has not played to this point this year. He has been out with an injury. Initially, they're hoping that Buddha would be ready by the second half of the season. That has not happened, and now they are pushing for a later date. But that being said, Gunn's still very happy overall with how the other pieces of the Cardinal attack have fared. Ryan and Siegel leading the way. Ludwig's okay. He's back to his feet. Spinning down the sideline. Waiting for the center, but shielded off and headed off at the pass. Very young team for San Diego State. 7 underclassmen started today. It's been part and parcel of the experience for Ryan Hopkins and San Diego State so far this year. And they've had some good recruiting classes at San Diego State of late, different regime. But Hopkins hoping to continue some of the successes that the Aztecs have had in that department. And hoping to get more consistent results. Skipped forward. That was Keegan Tingey on the run. Tingey becoming more involved in the attack. And meanwhile, we're becoming a bit more involved in basketball. Yes, the Pac-12 still standing. Matter of fact, they're not only surviving, they're thriving and advancing. UCLA versus Gonzaga on the men's side in the Final Four. That winner, of course, will be in the national championship game on Monday. Speaking of national championships, how about this? Arizona versus Stanford. That will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. in San Antonio. Backing the Pac on the biggest stages possible. A beautiful thing. Stanford women's basketball, the #1 overall seed. Impressive run for them so far in the tournament, but man, what a story Arizona has been. Adia Barnes coming in, turning everything around right from jump, getting the Tucson community behind that program. And then Ari McDonald, my word. And there have been some terrific individual players in the NCAA tournament this year. Paige Beckers for UConn, of course. Kiana Williams has had some fantastic days in the tournament. But Ari McDonald right there. So that should be fun. Stanford won both of the earlier meetings between the Cardinal and the Wildcats. But this one has a national championship on the line. Can't wait to check that one out tomorrow afternoon. Don't call us the Conference of Champions for nothing, you know. Abrahamian, hard tackle. And the sweep by Hughes. It's good stuff defensively for the Cardinal. The area that Jeremy Gunn has been most impressed by as far as the growth on this team. He says there's so much growth just from actually playing games. By playing and responding to different situations and environments. He's happy with how his team's been able to do so to this point. Ryan tries to serve up Agostinelli. He can't get there in time. Peraza sends it out of bounds. And a corner kick forthcoming for the Cardinal. Carlo Agostinelli providing a bit of the international flair for the Stanford roster. He's from London, as is Stanford's keeper, Andrew Thomas. And Stanford's been living in the corners so far in this one. Their 8th corner today. This one from Will Richmond. Spinning towards the penalty spot. I believe that was Bowen who got a head on it. Richmond will try it again, but have to hang on. Left foot. The header. No. Wide of the post. Keegan Hughes, who has done some damage on set pieces in his career, scored 3 times last season, mostly in that capacity. He was the last one with a chance for the Cardinal in that sequence. Silly goes for a ride. Takes a hard landing. Back to his feet. Getting on the same page with the referee. We'll take another look. And that didn't quite go the way Silly would have preferred. Ouch. Might be feeling that one a bit later on. Cadono with another slip as he sent it away and back into action. Abrahamian with the slip. So footing becoming a slight issue as we go along.
Go, Collar. Come on, Collar.
The switch.
Left shoulder. Bloody left shoulder. Well done.
Out of bounds. Off Agostinelli. And before San Diego State can get back to action, substitution forthcoming, it appears, for both teams. Reese DeSoto for Stanford, and Tevin Rue coming back in for the Aztecs, replacing Tristan Weber. Reese DeSoto, as mentioned, coming in for the Cardinal, a redshirt junior from Aurora, Colorado. Got the first goal of his career at UCLA last week.
Good.
Off Peraza.
Even right shoulder. Bloody in front. Rousing it. Free head. Free head. Oh.
DeSoto trying to win it.
Right shoulder. Bloody in front. Right shoulder. No ears.
Nice link with Rue.
Good.
Overshot.
Right shoulder.
Weiner. And they'll go in San Diego State's direction. Road ahead for the Aztecs, by the way. They'll be right back up here in the Bay Area. Flight back home to San Diego after this one is done. And then right back up here to the Bay Area next week for a meeting with Cal. And then finish up by hosting Oregon State.
Yes, out, yes, out.
DeSoto turns. Wien. Wien still has it. Outside now. Back to Tingy. Cardinal trying to build. Agostinelli pokes it forward. Trying to hang on. DeSoto in the mixer, sent out. And Abrahamian too strong. Well, Ryan Hopkins wants his team to average around 7 passes by the opponent per defensive action. Stanford had a lot more than 7 passes on that sequence. A look from behind the net to see Cadono's perspective. Stanford unable to put it through. Jack O'Brien replacing Will Richmond. Substitution for the Cardinal. And O'Brien immediately helps the Cardinal win the ball. Through ball. Katsaros tries to get it back, but instead it's at DeSoto's foot. Back to Win. Shot rolls right to Cadona. Not a clean hit by Cam Silly, and he knew it as soon as it came off of his foot. He would love to have another chance at that one. Just didn't have enough footing to be able to give a serious challenge to that ball. Fisher with the tug on Rue. We play on. Out of bounds. And into the stands below us. 15 minutes remaining in regulation. Stanford ahead 3-1. All scoring to this point in the first half of the match. Gabe Segal in the 23rd minute. Zach Ryan in the 36th minute. Charlie Wien in the 45th minute, all for Stanford. Andre Ochoa in the 32nd minute for San Diego State. Ochoa has the ball now. As he slips. Silly was in the area. San Diego State wants to restart, but Ochoa isn't ready for play. Well, and with 15 minutes remaining in regulation, this has been a bit of a trouble spot for San Diego State. Silly comes in and does get the clip right on the back of Ochoa's foot. That is not the best feeling in the world. Speaking from experience on that one. And Ochoa needing a moment or so to try to get back up the stride. But as mentioned, San Diego State has had problems a little bit in the final 15 minutes of regulation, as they've been outscored 5-1 this season in that span of time. Hankins centered, trying to find it, hang on to it along the touchline, but can't do it. Boy, Hankins with an accurate centering pass. Actually, that might have been Bowen to give San Diego State a chance. And yes, it was Bowen. Yeah, that was a terrific centering pass. Weber out for San Diego State, by the way. Inigo Vialdea back in. Vialdea from Gijón, Spain. Win. DeSoto. Chipped forward. O'Brien. O'Brien gives it away. And San Diego State to throw it in. From Fisher towards DeSoto. Not many options for O'Brien, but DeSoto in pursuit to pressure. And he wins it for the flag instead, a whistle. I believe it's been called. on San Diego State, or maybe it was right along the touchline, right on the sideline, I should say, but DeSoto able to make that one a bit more challenging than perhaps it should have been for San Diego State. It is a throw-in for the Cardinal. Abrahamian has a propensity for long throws. There's one. Almost makes its way into the 6. Silly to miss hit. Back to Tingy. Agostinelli a slip. And that prevents him from being able to do anything with it. Well, score from Westwood, UCLA was up 2-0, but Oregon State scoring just seconds ago. So the Bruins' lead has been cut to 2-1, that in the 78th minute. As Oregon State tries to stay within sight of Stanford and Washington. Huskies 2-1 winners over the Bears earlier this afternoon. And a reminder, if this result holds, Stanford maintains first place in the Pac-12 for another week. Agostinelli, high cross. That might not have gone off before Agostinelli crossed the touchline. Blue striker lets it bounce. Aztecs find Ochoa dispossessed. Skips it to Wien. Wien shoots. It's blocked by San Diego State. 4th block for the Aztec defense, and meanwhile Ochoa almost had what happened to him, what he did to the Stanford defense in the first half. As he stripped a Cardinal defender, went one-on-one with Andrew Thomas and beat him for San Diego State's only goal today. Hand fighting in the mix there between Abrahamian and Peraza. Less than 10 minutes to go regulation. Cardinal ahead 3-1. Cardano taking a little bit of time and sends it away. DeSoto sizes it up and then has 3 white shirts swarm on him. Fisher wins the tackle. Towards Rue. Ochoa plays it back. Stanford pushing up. Out of bounds, Stanford ball. Trying to shake Bowen. Bowen gets help from Hankins. Sent back forward by the Cardinal. DeSoto over to the far side this time. Fisher. Tried to switch, couldn't pull it off. Instead played down the middle. Skips off of Katsaros' foot. Streaking into the box. And able to hang on to it. Abrahamian. Abrahamian, back post, wide of the net. Carlo Agostinelli had eyes for the first goal of his Cardinal career. And Abrahamian with a picture-perfect service. And Agostinelli put all he had into it, but it just was off target. He knew it too as soon as he hit the ground. Trying to take another crack at it. But won back by the Aztecs. Players from each side slipping down. It's been dry here in the Bay Area all week. Rain not a factor. Might get some in the upcoming week, but certainly not now. Meanwhile, Andrew Thomas with 2 saves on the afternoon. He's been a little bit busier, it seems, than he has for much of the season. Might be tested here again in this sequence.
Away! Oh!
Cardinal in transition. O'Brien to Agostinelli. DeSoto trying to catch up to it. As the Cardinal tried to build in transition, surprised that O'Brien tried to switch field and find a teammate instead of continuing to push forward.
Love your front. Keep your right shoulder. Up right. Up right shoulder.
Out of bounds.
To right shoulder, check right. Right shoulder out.
Rue.
Chill.
The through ball, unfortunately, to no one in particular. Gabe Siegel coming back in, as is Zach Ryan, 2 of the 3 goal scorers for Stanford this afternoon. Siegel has shown a knack for game winners, certainly this season, and he has certainly been a thorn in San Diego State's side throughout his career, scoring his 3rd career goal against the Aztecs earlier this afternoon. He's been finishing off his chances. Heads up.
Up, one outside. Charlie right shoulder. Up right shoulder. Get that. Charlie, go.
On the ground, Peraza. Left foot, trying to find the winner. Thomas hesitated for a moment and then finally was able to locate it. As Weiner was shielded off by a Cardinal defender. Less than 5 minutes to go in regulation. Cardinals 7-1-1 on the year. Peraza coming in to win it. Vialdea. George off of Abrahamian. Barring a comeback, the likes of which we'll be talking about for ages, it appears that Stanford will be going to 8-1-1 on the year. Setting itself up quite nicely for those 2 final regular season games. In Corvallis next week, and hosting the Washington Huskies the week after that. So the Pac-12 title still to be decided. Ahead to Ryan. Peraza the clear. The chapters still left to be written in the Pac-12 men's soccer season. In the 18, towards Ryan. The clear doesn't get past his own teammate. That one does. Stanford was picked 2nd in the Pac-12 preseason poll this year, behind UW and in front of Oregon State. Poke towards Ryan, almost scored it towards William. Foul on Fisher. Quick restart. Aztecs off and moving. Slip by a defender. Ochoa had it at his foot for a second. Silly goes to ground. Silly will have some bumps and bruises after this one. Meanwhile, Mark Fisher was also on the floor for a moment. And he'll come off and be replaced by Connor Evans. So Fisher off, Evans on. Evans, a freshman from Portland, Oregon, appearing in his 6th match of the season. Well, the theme for San Diego State this week was to do something it had never done. Offside the call. To beat 2 top 10 teams in the same season for the first time in program history. Doesn't appear that that is going to happen this time around. But certainly with the process continuing, the youth for the Aztecs, and the energy that seems to be within that program, I would say that San Diego State's future rather bright in the years to come.
Central, one edge. Good, Evans. Shoot. Good lad, Evans. Well done.
Goal kick for Stanford. So perhaps a bit of a learning game once again. And really, this game was tied up at 1 apiece through a good portion of the first half. No scoring so far here in the second half, but this wasn't the runaway that Oregon State put on San Diego State a couple weeks ago. So the Aztecs showing some things at times, but doesn't appear that it'll be enough to get the result.
Up, 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 up.
Meanwhile, Stanford can turn its focus to the final 2 games of the regular season and the NCAA tournament beyond that. And if a Pac-12 title comes in the middle, then hey, I'm sure the Cardinal will take that once again. Stanford winning the Pac-12 championship last in 2018. Washington won it in 2019. So right now, the Huskies wear the crown. Offside again. Inside the final minute of the second half. And the Cardinal, of course, also with designs on the College Cup to be played in North Carolina along with the rest of the NCAA tournament this year. But first things first. Get positive results against the Beavers next week and the Huskies the week after that. Zach Ryan certainly will be a key to Stanford's fortunes, especially in the attack going forward. Can the defense continue its growth from game to game? And you know Andrew Thomas is going to have to be called on to be tested in a major way at some point for the remainder of the season. But for today, Stanford with 3 first-half goals. Those tallies stand, and the Cardinal in the win column again. The final score this afternoon, Stanford 3, San Diego State 1. Stanford goes up to 8-1-1 on the season, 6-1-1 in Pac-12 play. They will remain in first place after this weekend's action is done, while San Diego State falls to 1-5-2 on the year and the same record in conference play. Goals scored by Gabe Siegel, by Charlie Wien, that young man, and Zach Ryan also in the background. Andre Ochoa, the goal scored for San Diego State. And up next, critical stretch run for the Cardinal. This was fun. Hope you enjoyed it. On behalf of our terrific Pac-12 Network crew, I'm Troy Clarity. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Once again, the final score on the farm, Stanford 3, San Diego State 1. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and as always, back the pack.